just what is happening?
In real estate, there's that famous business motto: location, location, location. And in HR, to a large extent, the motto is document, document, document. And that's largely true. But sometimes it's not the appropriate approach, or at least the timing as to when you document. And here's what I'm talking about. Let's say the scenario is senior employee, many years of service, and as the employer, you have to make certain changes to respond to business requirements, and those changes aren't favorable to the employee. So changes in duties and responsibilities, title, maybe some compensation related changes, once again, that are not in the employee's best interest. And so employers often are of the view that it's unfortunate, of course, and regretful they have to do it. But the way we're going to do it now from an HR perspective is we're going to reduce it to writing. That's great. So we have clarity. And then we're going to present it to the employee. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem with that is it's not going to be well received. You've got an emotional reaction when the employee sees these changes that are not favorable to the employee. So you might even have resistance to those changes, of course, immediately. And the reason is because you haven't afforded, or you haven't treated the employee with the appropriate dignity in light of their past service, length of service, contribution to the organization. So in that kind of situation, you know, as they say in The Sound of Music, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So the idea is talk to the employee. This is one of those situations where you have a meeting with the employee and you say something like, look, this is the direction we're likely going to go organizationally with respect to your role, duties, compensation, etc. But we wanted to get your input. And there might be nuances here that we're not even aware of that you could assist us with. In other words, we're asking for your contribution, as it were, your input in respect of these changes. And they're not 100% formalized yet. So you're actually saying to that employee, we want your input so that we may make variations to what we're thinking we're going to do. So it's not a fait accompli. So you're not abruptly presenting it to the employee and expecting the employee to agree and likely sign off on it. You're far better off have the meeting first, maybe a couple of meetings where you're asking for the employee's input, and then ultimately and hopefully reducing it to writing so that there's clarity regarding those terms. So it's one of those key situations where let's go back to old school, have the meeting with the employee, discuss it, treat them with dignity and respect, and that's the spoonful of sugar that's going to go a long way. How come people no longer do the funny rings on their phones? You notice that it was a fad? You know, come up with the most novel phone ring and use it. Now it seems everybody's gone back to basics.
Everyone's gone back to the old school ring because it's less offensive, I think, than the dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.